Hello and welcome to an unusual but very special series indeed. My name is Tony Spruce and I'm standing in front of PearlescentMoon's alien base from Hermitcraft Season 9. And you probably already know where this is heading to, but I'll give you a quick backstory either way. While Season 9 was so far the longest Hermitcraft season with about 2 years length, I think, and a lot has happened, countless great builds emerged, mini-games, not so mini-games, shenanigans, stories. Of course also some sad things with the passing of TFC. All in all, it was a packed season that won't be forgotten for a long time, what I'm saying. It will never be forgotten by the community, because it's a very special season indeed. But even though the Hermits had 2 years. If you're an artist yourself, you know how that is. It doesn't matter how long you have. Things just never get finished because there's always something you can add. There's always something you can improve upon. And that's pretty much what happened with Pearl's base. As despite her best efforts to complete it on the last days of the server, there are some areas that are still left unfinished. And maybe I should get my stuff and then Guessing from how the YouTube algorithm works, all of you have seen Pearl's episodes anyway, so you know what I'm talking about. And in her 49th episode of her Hermitcraft playthrough, she offered this space to us, the community, to complete. And I will take up on this challenge. I think this will be an awesome opportunity, as I see this a little bit as a build study and build practice, in a way. So let me tell you what I have in mind here. In contrast to what I usually do, I will this time try to not bring in my own build style. You know, of course, if I build in my own worlds, then that I build how I'm used to, how I do things. But for this mission, I will really try to understand how Pearl builds. You know, there's a lot of things that are just so vastly different from my own build style. First and foremost, the very bright and very bold color choices. And also when it comes to interior decorating. That is something I feel like I'm not really good at. And look at that, how immersive this is. It's just so stunning. I mean, of course I have seen Pearl build a lot of times. I think I know the general gist of her style. Oh, that building is still empty. Oh, we can do something with that. But still, there are so many nice features I struggle to replicate in my own builds, so this will be the perfect opportunity to really try to copy her build style and add on to this magnificent base and hopefully result into something that is coherent and consistent. I mean, obviously, I will not succeed perfectly in replicating her build style. You know, I'm an elf and I have pink eyes, so I'm not Pearl, so I can't build exactly like she does, but I will give it a good try. And when it comes to building zones, then there of course is this blank slate, where we have more buildings to add. Also, some of the buildings down the road lack still their interior. The probably most difficult area for me will be this. Pearl has smoothed it in a little bit, so it's not just that rectangular cut in like it was before, but still the terrain of course is all completely vanilla outside here, so we will need to blend it in a little bit. Maybe I even try to expand on her terrain. We'll see, because that crazy terrain she did over there, that takes a lot of time. So we'll see what we do with that. And of course on said terrain, with the latest addition, we also have to populate all this area with plants, maybe some buildings, and also figuring out what exactly to do. Because I don't know all the plans Pearl had. Of course she talked about some things that she wanted to do, but for most of the stuff I really have to try to get into her mind, do a little bit of mind reading, and try to come up with what a PearlescentMoon would have done with that space. Because apart from interior decorations and colors, there's also a third thing about her build, which is probably what I adore most. And that is how she organizes spaces. You know, with this terrain you have many overlapping areas, many corners, and she not only does that with the terrain, but also with the buildings itself, with the interiors. There are so many nooks and crannies, so many interesting shapes, which is something I also try with my own builds, but I don't think succeed as much. So that is definitely also a thing we want to study. Right? Right. No. Okay, these guys are adorable. Both the big ones as well as the small ones. Okay, I'm getting distracted. I'm getting utterly distracted. We can also do something with that. So if you have any ideas, also let me know in the comments. Because apart from, the obvious areas where there's still stuff missing, there's also so many further possibilities for expansions. Could also totally plop in a farm here. Didn't jump scare me, Pearl. Is there actually a bed in here? There should be, right? The last nights I slept in the hospital, but I don't think that's really a thing I want to keep up, you know? Alright, I'm gonna sleep in the hospital again. Ooh. Ah. Okay, I already saw my face planted against the wall. And for an easy start, I reckon, I won't start right away with the crazy projects. I think it would be a good idea to start with the interior of the laboratory. So far it's completely empty except for the beacon. But we certainly can do something with that. And, you know, speaking as it's the laboratory, we might even want to leave the beacon here. Because it would make sense. And since all the science is happening here, that maybe that's also where the humans generate their power. Power through science or something like that. I don't know how humans do that. How would an elf know? So it probably makes no sense at all, but it makes sense to me. And also then we don't have to look for a new place for the beacon, you know? We maybe have to scoot it over a little bit, as it's not really centered anywhere, and maybe also lower it a little bit into the ground. I don't know, we'll see. And this is a great place to start anyway, as this also has the project board with different ideas Pearl had, and we don't have to do everything of it, and also we can add our own ideas, but that's certainly a good starting point. So let me try to get all the resources together, as I have no clue in which shulker box what is. And then we can start building. Serious dedication, Clio. There's one Clio inside here. Oh my word! That's what it feels like to be a professional Minecrafter. You just have piles upon piles of stuff. Wow. Alright. Seeing that I'm just a little bit overwhelmed so far by everything, you know, as a small YouTuber and casual Minecraft player, you're just not used to having so many things. Okay, I've just, so far, collected some resources, some general building supplies to mark out the general rooms, and I think, oh, there's a material I missed. And we will worry about the details later. I think that's the way to go, right, isn't it? So let's see what we can do with this. That feels so sad. Alright, I have now something planned out. First of all, from the facade Pearl gave us, we know it's a pretty high building. And we also have a little room here, which I almost forgot, but I've included that too. So let me show you around. First of all, we have a little entrance section with a tall glass facade here. And I thought, why not have it just go down first of all, so we can have a good look at one of the upper floors. And then there's even a third floor, even though we don't have that great viewing access, but still a little bit cut out here. I definitely wanted to keep the tall feeling of the entrance area here. We could, of course, close the floor in completely, but I think that gives a little bit more of the very busy laboratory vibe, I think. Seeing all the 3 floors at once, I think that works out fine. We still have the possibility of expanding the rooms towards the back, or maybe have some small back rooms in here. And then we have the stairs. On the left side it leads up, on the right side it will lead down to the basement, where we will also have the beacon, which will be poking out somewhere from the floor. We have to think about that. And we walk down these corridors. It's a little bit windy. Not a direct access, but I think that makes it more interesting. Once again, we can dig out the rest back here if we need to. And this is also a little room Pearl already made, but which was completely isolated, which gives us a nice view inside the tunnel. Or outside the tunnel, inside the tunnel. I don't know how that works if you have buildings inside a tunnel. What is inside and what not? Tunnelception, I suppose. Now comes the hard part. And that is actually decorating it. So wish me good luck, and I'll see you after the time lapse. Of course they're all filled. Why wouldn't they be? Much better. Well, there's a sign. What does it say? You encourage me to work harder than anyone else. Who has written that sign? I guess telling from the wood choice, it was a gem towards impulse? Maybe? Who's this? Ah, here we go. Pay here $1. Don't know what a dollar is, so I hope they just don't mind, you know. Whee! Thank you, Impulse. Welcome back after what was probably the most frantic build session I've ever had, or multiple of them. You know, people often ask, how does she build with so many different materials all at the same time? And after having this experience myself, I have to be honest, I don't know. I had to run forth and back so many times. But I think finally I'm done with the whole interior, which you haven't even seen yet in the time-lapse. So, let me give you a quick tour of the facility. Laboratory 0548. I don't know, I didn't have anything funny to put on here, so just gave it a number. Works. And when we come in here, we have a wonderful mural on the floor just to give it a welcoming touch. And while we still have the view all the way to the ceiling, it is quite chaotic with scaffolding. Maybe they did do some repairs or something like that, who knows. And then we have something of a little bit of a reception area. Even though there are already some, you know, chemistry going on, whatever these stands represent. but also a little waiting corner with a bench, a few books, and what's supposedly an alien head. Definitely not a glow squid. And I really tried to pull the pearlescent texturing in here. Having the overgrown sections, the different materials in the walls, to give it all a kind of a rundown look, especially here in the lower area. And not to forget about the elephant in the room, we have the beacon. It's actually at the exact same position, just lowered quite a bit, but we will get to it. So first of all, we're heading down the spooky hallway, which actually isn't too spooky at the moment as these lights are on. There's a snow golem up there, which eventually he will move and turn out the lights. And at the end we have something where we are not supposed to enter, but yeah, there's nothing behind there. Just moss. And yeah, see, now it's dark. And that is also true with many doors of the building. I have not put a room behind every single one, as that would have just... I would have never finished with that build. But there are some rooms. Like here's a little workroom with some machinery of some sorts, whatever these are. Maybe those can be detached from the wall and are mobile stations. Who knows? Who knows? And on the other side we have just a storage room. With more of these, definitely not grindstones, boxes with documents, spare chemistry stands, and all that good stuff. And for the lighting, I used both redstone lamps as well as pearlescent frog lights, at least where they're functioning. Because here and there I also have some broken lights, and then I have used... how's it actually called? The... you know, the warden material. Because I thought it looks kinda like, you know, a lamp that has given up the ghost, that stopped working. It's gotten all dark and black and burnt, but still a little bit glimmering. And of course you see the dark corner is also the perfect place for vegetation to grow. As we get another floor up, it's a little bit cleaner up here. Also because of the beacon very bright. So even though we have some end rods, they're not really necessary in here. And then we have kind of the headquarters where, you know, only the experts are allowed in, with many more interesting samples collected from the surroundings. Yes, and that's not a glow squink. Let's just leave it at that. And more doors where we could, in theory, expand into. You know, if you have any ideas of rooms we should add, that's definitely an option. And heading further upwards... Skulk, that was the name of that stuff. We have another busy area, but which is way more open plan. We have some boards on the side which, you know, had or may still have some important information on them. Not too sure about that. And then also in this little room that Pearl already had created, I've turned it into a break room. With some sofas, tables, and some questionable slogans like you would expect it in maybe such a place. And also the tea of the day. Even though I'm not too sure if I'm really that fancy after Azalea Crunch. Doesn't sound too trustworthy. And also we have one of the many dragon eggs here. We have the dragon egg here. Definitely the original one. Definitely. From here we also have a good view on the entrance area, which also on the top is quite overgrown. But overall up here the walls are in a pretty good shape. You know, they're not completely fractured and broken down. So it's all in all rather clean up here. And it's more in the back rooms and the corridors where it's really worn down and also quite dark. You know, another broken lamp here. And if we go all the way down... well, that's where the beacon is. And you also will notice that things are not too bad down here. Even though something must have happened back there. You know, the structure is quite broken down. And you can hear the zombie friends from the food court down here. And I've sunk the beacon a little bit into the ground, so it's not quite as tall and not quite as spacious. And I think it just, you know, it's still ominous, but not too gigantic. We also have some lights off to the side. But otherwise, this room is in fairly good condition, even though it's all the way down here. It's probably because of this infinite energy source, right? Yeah, must be it. And then I also found this. Let's see what Pearl has done with this soup. No effect? It was the only soup in her storage room. I'm a little bit disappointed. It was tasty, however, no doubt about that. To be honest, I quite prefer it when the lights are out, because so it looks a little bit boring. But when it gets dark... That was your cue. When it gets dark. It looks a whole lot more spooky-ish. That's definitely a word. Okay, it's not gonna happen. And overall, I think, at my first attempt at building the PearlescentMoon way and really incorporating all that texturing and detailing we have... Oh, now it's dark. We have seen in other places of this mega base. Yeah, it looks a lot better like that, right? Quite spooky and, you know, no entry. What could be here? Nobody knows. Yeah, I'm quite happy with my first attempt. Surely not perfect, but nonetheless I'm quite happy, and it's safe to say that this is my most detailed interior ever. With my own builds I never got so deep into the detailing phase, but all worth it, I think. What do you think? Let me know. Also, if you have seen anything that we should maybe add or change, let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what in general we should do in this series. Of course, there are still many obvious spots, but you know, when it comes to the back portion of the tunnel, what buildings should we add? What is definitely necessary? As we will not be able to fit everything in here that's on the project board. We have to pick and choose. So let me know your ideas, your preferences. Otherwise... Oh, there's a Spooder. Thank you so much for watching. This was definitely a fun and exciting start to the big project I've put myself into, and I'm very excited to see how that continues. I hope you are too, and if you are, make sure to join me again next time when we continue attempting to finish up Pearl's alien base. Take care and see you soon. Bye!